Video games seem to just come and go nowadays. I couldn't tell you how many games gain a huge following with hundreds and thousands talking about it just for it to fall off the face of the earth like 2 days later. There's so many of them that I wanted to talk to you guys about some of them, giving you the games, an estimate of how long they were popular, and what made them fall off so quickly. And the first one is
Palworld.
I'm starting off with this one because of two reasons. One, it's still pretty recent, and two, I just did a review type video on this over on the main channel. I remember me hopping on the game after making that video and getting a weird feeling. After that, I told my friend that it'll probably fall off in like a couple weeks. Well, safe to say I was wrong. It fell off like 3 days later. The player base dropped like crazy. All my friends that played it just stopped playing. And I haven't seen people talking about it like at all. Hell, the only person I see that still uploads it is Vanoss. To put it in perspective, people were losing their minds about this game when it dropped, saying that it would single-handedly kill Nintendo and that it's better than every single Pokemon game combined. Everywhere you looked on Twitter, there was people talking about it. Either positively or negatively, this game was getting insane traction. So what happened? How did this game go from being the next big thing in gaming to losing 1.5 million players? Well, believe it or not, it all goes back to what I was saying in my video on the main channel. Despite the game being fun, it's nothing new. Its whole identity is based off copying other games' premises. From Ark Survival to Pokemon, it's just a mesh of other games. Also, progression is slow and I lost interest. That's the thing that kept me playing. I love the feeling of things getting more accessible. But after a bit, you start to level up like once every 2 hours and I start to get bored. I have to have a main motivation to keep me going. And if my motivation is progress, and progress takes a while, you see how this can mess it up? There's a big grass mammoth thing, and to even get close to the level I need to actually fight this thing, I need to sink like 60 plus more hours into this game. And I have videos to make, man. I don't have that type of time. Or maybe I just don't feel like it, okay? It doesn't help that gamers have been low-key getting sick of open world type games in the first place, with exceptions to games like Tears of the Kingdom, because it's filled with stuff to do from head to toe. Palworld doesn't have that. Hell, not even Pokemon has that. I think I didn't play the DLC. Honestly, I don't even know if there was something they could do to stop the drop in players. They might come back after like a huge update is released or something. And who knows, maybe in a few months, this would have aged horribly. Or the player base will drop even more. Okay, next on my list is
Among Us.
Holy hell, this game was massive. Several different YouTubers and streamers either made careers off this game or revived their careers with it. At its peak, it seemed like anyone can upload a clip or video of them playing this and at least get a few hundred views. People even talked about it in school, like everybody did. It was weird, but currently it's way past its peak and has become one of those games that completely fall under the radar for most people. It's like someone reminds you of it and you get whole flashbacks to one of the most depressing times in the modern era, which is probably one of the reasons it blew up so much. Quarantine was a wild time, dude. But the question is, how did it fall off after being such a giant? Well, there's not really a straight answer, so I came up with multiple possible reasons. One, it could have been how long it took for updates to actually come out. And I'm not faulting the devs on this one in the slightest. Game development takes a long time, and that includes adding new features. Unfortunately, the community surrounding the game didn't really have the patience for the wait. And to be fair, the wait was kind of long. The first big new thing was just a map. And it was cool, but it wasn't enough to hold the majority of the community over. And most ended up leaving because of the lack of new content. The other reason is the absolute oversaturation of the game. Like I said before, you saw this game everywhere, which also meant there were crazy content farms using this game. And a majority of it was the most unfunny, unfortunate, scarring thing known to man. Seeing these things definitely led some people to see the game in a different light, and thus dropping the game completely. The final reason is my personal reason. The other players. The foundation of this game is that it was dumb fun. People didn't really take it too seriously, which led to a bunch of fun moments between friends. I don't know what happened, but that all changed. People started to take this game way too seriously. It became less about having a silly, funny time to people legit acting like they were detectives. They felt like it was a game of life and death. For real. So that sucked real bad. To combat that, people thought of the third imposter strat. Someone as crewmate would vouch for one of the imposters and make sure they stay alive the whole game until the imposters won. I'll be honest, it was funny the first time, but then everyone started doing it. Then every game went the same of two ways. Either you have Batman on the crewmate side and aren't even able to play the game, or there's a third imposter and the imposters win no matter what. At that point, there was no more reason to play the game for me, so I just dropped it. The last time I played wasn't even the base game. It was the VR version that me and my friends played once and then uninstalled. It was really a novelty thing more than anything. I don't know if Among Us will ever return to its former glory, but I do know that the memories of this era will be with us forever. And they suck because those years were awful. I guarantee 90% of the people watching remember
Multiversus.
Another attempt to make a Smash Bros. Killer that, just like the rest of them, fell flat on its face. They need to learn from rivals. I like that game. Anyway, when it dropped, this game was massive. I partook in my fair share of Multiversus, even made videos on it. And I'll admit, it was pretty fun, until having to go versus grab spamming Superman, bag spamming Finns, janky jank hitboxes, and Iron Giant. Period. This game had major problems about it that the devs just took too long to fix, instead choosing to fix things as LeBron's shockwave, which, yeah, probably need to be fixed down the line, but not as much as any of the problems I mentioned before. I'm not kidding. I got killed by Iron Giant's dumb hitbox. You know, the one that's just the air beside him, and I almost broke my desk. I'm serious. Abusing the unbalanced mechanics trumped actual skill, and it led me to uninstalling. When it comes to updates, they were doing pretty good, I think. The main problems were the horrible balancing and it being free to play. My stance with most games is that I'd rather just buy the game once rather than make a bunch of payments in-game for cosmetics and unlocking characters, because that sucks. Oh my God, speaking of that, Overwatch has had an insane fall from grace. It has tried and failed to reach the heights that it had in its glory days. Okay, this is 2 sections, so buckle up. First game, Overwatch 1, released, and people loved it. Hell, I loved it. I was an Overwatch super fan, dude. I love this game. Later in its lifespan, certain characters were added that really messed up the game, like Brigitte. I really don't care how it's pronounced. And Orisa. People started low-key disliking the game. The meta gameplay just became the most boring thing known to man. If you were there, you understand what I'm talking about. Eventually, updates slow down as they're working on Overwatch 2 and its brand new PvE system. They're showing clips about it and people are starting to get hyped. It feels like with Overwatch 2, the old feeling we got while playing that made us enjoy the game so much will return. There were some weird / dumb choices along the way, like getting rid of the servers for Overwatch 1, completely deleting that game forever, and making Overwatch 2 free to play. But we held hope because of the beta. It was kind of just the first game with a new coat of paint, but it felt better. Maybe it was a placebo, but we were desperate, okay? Then it finally got here. Overwatch 2. And in all honesty, after the honeymoon phase went away, it's just Overwatch 1. It's the same game with a new character and a new game mode. There was no need for a sequel, right? Well, that's where you're wrong. There was still the PvE story mode that was advertised and is the whole reason the sequel even exists. It's not in the game. Well, that's because it's not done yet. Give it a few months and our show will be added right here. It got canceled. The whole reason this godforsaken game exists got canceled. And then they had the nerve to upload the scraps and put them behind a $15 paywall. This was the nail in the coffin for me. Even still, this game is clinging on to dear life. There's still people who like the gameplay and stick with it, but even with them, this game will never return to the titan it was at its peak. And it's all because of stupid decisions made with the game's development. I don't know who exactly to blame, but they stink. Okay, that's all the time I have. If there's any big follow-up you want me to talk about, let me know in the comments below. Also, why did these videos go from 45 views to 1K? Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the video, including this dude. He's funny. I hope this is satire. Okay, bye.